What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be performing the running in service or the break-in service on my 2025 M4 CS, and I've only ever done one other video like this, and it was on the Daily Drivens channel, where I went into full detail of the importance of this service, what can happen if you don't perform this service, so on and so forth. So if you guys are looking for a much more in-depth version of this video, make sure to check out the Daily Drivens channel, where I've gone into full detail on this service. But today, I'm just gonna give you guys essentially a walkthrough of how this service is performed. Again, the importances of this service, essentially what can happen if you don't perform this service, and really anything else that I can think of while I'm working on my car. Funny enough, I just picked up another camera today. I picked up the Insta Go 3S. So I'm going to be switching the camera view from the Osmo Pocket 3, which is what you guys are seeing me on right now, to the Insta 360 Go 3S, long name. So you guys can get a POV of the running in service, so you can see how it's actually performed and what I do on your guys' vehicles when you bring it here to the dealership that I work at for your running in service as well. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna switch cameras and start the process. All right, and just like that, we have switched over to the POV. This is something that I'm trying. I just figured that doing videos like this, it's always helpful when you can see what's actually going on, what I'm actually doing with my hand, and you can get my POV, so it makes it easier for you guys in that sense. So I already have everything that I need here as far as my parts go. I have my oil filter with my new crush washer and O-ring inside of here. I have my differential fluid, and then I have my two plugs for the differential itself, because these are one-time use. So once you remove them, once you put these new ones in, they do have to be torqued to, I believe, about 45 Newton meters, but I will double check myself as I'm going through the process. So while I'm doing this, some things I want to point out. I guess this video will kind of serve as a double whammy. If you're watching this video, doesn't matter what year, G8X, whether it be an M3, M4, M2, the engine oil service is all the same on all of them. Even though I am doing a running in service / break-in service, if you are watching this video and you want to change your oil on your own car, this is how essentially you would do it. So I'm just going to grab a couple tools before we get started. And I've done this service so many times. Obviously I have everything I need and I have it all memorized. But moving on, how I like to do it, I like to take the engine oil cap off first. And there's going to be two bolts located over here. I hope you guys can see it. You're going to need a E7. And those two bolts are what are holding your external coolant reservoir over here. Kind of like how the F8X chassis was. He had the one that was located back here. Now it's located over here on the side. Once you take out both of those bolts, those E7 bolts, you kind of just want to pop that out of your way there. It's only held in just by a little clip. And then you kind of want to pull up on this. Once you pull up on it, you will feel it come out of the slot that it's in, and then you can kind of just set it to the side. Then there is a clip right here as well. You want to kind of pull on this tab. Once you pull on that tab, you can lift up and set that to the side over there. People always tend to forget to clip this back on for whatever reason. So this is your reminder if you're doing your oil service yourself. Once you finish, don't forget to clip this back on. And then you want to grab your ratchet with your extension and your 32mm socket. And I don't know if you guys can see that down there, but on these new B engines, because yes, this engine does take inspiration from the B engines, even though it is an S58, the oil filters are down here at the bottom. So you're gonna need a pretty long extension and a 32mm socket in order to get the oil filter out. Now, me personally, like I said, I like to remove the engine oil cap, and I also like to break the filter loose here. I like to pull up on it ever so slightly, just so that I'm getting the maximum amount of airflow through the engine while I am draining the oil. All right, so now that we have the car up in the air, now what's next is to remove this little cover here, which will expose your 17mm bolt right there to drain the oil. So let's go over why is this important, right? A lot of people think that the run-in service is a myth, because some people get their vehicles and they immediately drive them however they want, going very fast or doing burnouts or donuts whatever the case may be. Not that you can't do that, but it's highly not recommended, just due to the simple fact that the oil that is in this vehicle from the factory, specifically M cars, is very thin. So I don't know how well you guys can see that, but that's what the oil looks like. And it's a very thin mineral oil that has specific detergent in it that allow the engine to bed in properly as far as the bearings, the cams, and things of that nature go. So while this engine oil is in the car for the first 1,200 miles, that is essentially what this oil is doing. And it's also cleaning the engine from all of the potential debris and or metal shavings that could potentially, you know, be inside the engine as well. So that's why they tell you for the first 1,200 miles, kind of just drive normal, don't do anything crazy, don't exceed a certain RPM range, and don't exceed a certain speed, because they really want you to break the car in and or run it in. A lot of people call it the break-in service, but it's actually called the running in service, because essentially you are running the engine in. So for that purpose, you know, a lot of people get the car and they want to reach the 1,200 miles as quickly as possible. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? As long as you reach that 1,200 miles, that is fine. But if you really look into it, if you really read into it, they want you to variate your RPMs. They want you to vary your speed. So they really want you to have a mix of highway driving and in-city driving, for the fact of, you know, in-city driving, obviously your RPMs are going up and they're coming down, they're going up and they're coming down. But when you're on the highway, you're staying at one consistent RPM band, you're staying at one consistent speed the entire time. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but the real true proper way to run in the engine or break in the engine would be to vary that speed with in-city driving. But I get it, you know, these cars are a lot of fun, and again, a lot of people just want to get the mileage out of the way so that they can get the running in or break-in oil out of the vehicle, so that they can get the 0-way-30 that these cars run, so that they can go out and have their fun. But this is just me kind of giving you guys a tip here. For me personally, what people do in about 2 or 4 days took me about 3.5 months. I just reached my 1,200 miles today on the way to work, which is why I'm doing this. And another reason why I'm doing it is because tomorrow I'm heading down to Tampa, which would have put me over that limit of 1,200 miles. So today just made the most amount of sense to just go ahead and get the running in service out of the way. And speaking of going over the mileage, if you are to go over the 1,200 miles that is needed for your breaking in service or your break-in service, your warranty isn't void. However, it will be taken into consideration later down the road if you ever want to get CPO on the vehicle, or if you ever have really an issue as far as the drivetrain goes for the vehicle. You know, if you're having some mechanical issues and things of that nature, BMW will take that into consideration, that you went over the 1,200 miles, which could potentially cause premature wear on the engine, so on and so forth. So again, it is very important to make sure that you do it at 1,200 miles. I strongly believe that the break-in is not a myth. I want to say about 3 years ago when I first started working here, we had a gentleman who bought a brand new G82 M4 off the showroom floor, and he got the car Friday at about 5 o'clock, and he was back Saturday morning around 9 a.m. But the car was on a tow truck, and he had about 214 miles on the car, and he had blown the engine. So at that point we had to launch a full investigation. BMW got involved. You know, we were working with them, they were working with us in regards to figuring out why the engine had essentially blown. Then once we started digging a little bit further, we could see that he wasn't adhering to the break-in procedure. He was driving at very fast speeds. You know, he wasn't really letting the car warm up, and we can see all of this information if need be through the vehicle's black box. You know, we're not looking at the black box every time you come in, but obviously in special cases like this one, you know, we were given permission to go ahead and look at that due to the severity of the situation. So long story short, BMW ended up covering it for the customer because he was at 214 miles. I do believe they said if he had made it to 215 miles that they would not have covered it. So he was very grateful for that. Obviously, he didn't have to come out of pocket for a brand new S58 crate engine, which would have taken forever to come in anyway because the M4 and the M3 had just come out at that time. I strongly recommend you guys, if you are purchasing a brand new G8X, M3, M4, or M2, Make sure that you guys do the 1200 mile service on time. There is a little bit of leeway in there. You will notice that on your actual dash itself. I'm exactly at 1200 miles, but it says I have about 50 more to go. And that 50-mile window that's in there is a little bit of a grace. Let's say you make your appointment and you have about 1190 miles, but your appointment is until, I don't know, Friday that week. That extra 50-mile that's there is just a little bit of grace. That's BMW's understanding of, obviously, we all have to work, we all have jobs, you know, so on and so forth. So they will give you that little bit of grace in there for that 50 extra miles. But you can bring it in at 1200. You can bring it in a little bit early at about 1100. I've seen some people come in at 1100. I've also seen people come in at 900. And 900 isn't recommended either, because again, you still got about 300 more miles to go, where the engine could be varying in RPM speed and further breaking in the motor. All right, so now I have a pretty slow drip coming from the oil itself out of the engine. So right around this time, you can go ahead and put the drain bolt back in and torque it down with the new crush washer. Just grab one of these. Fun fact, when you do your first oil service ever, or I won't say you guys, but what you'll see here is that there is a silver crush washer that comes from the factory. This is the only time you will see a silver crush washer when the first engine oil service is performed on your brand new vehicle, whether it be an M car or a regular one. But now that we got that off, go ahead and grab our bolt here. We'll grab our bronze crush washer, slide that bad boy on, and then we'll put her in. Now this 17mm drain bolt here gets torqued down to 25 Newton meters, because the Germans do things in Newton meters. Let's see if we can hear the click. And that's it. Not extremely tight. I'm not gonna lie, when I first started working for BMW and they told me that was about it, I was shocked. But I've been doing these running in services and oil changes for almost 5 years now, and I've never had a drain bolt back out on me that I torqued to 25 Newton meters. So now that's done, just go ahead and pop your cover back on. And again, this applies also if you're doing just an oil change on your G8X car. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move back to the rear differential. And again, guys, I'm just showing you how a break-in or running-in service is performed. This is exactly how it would go if you brought your car to the dealership to have it performed. So remember those two plugs I showed you guys earlier? That's back here for the differential. So you're gonna pop this first one off. So that's this side, and then the bottom one here, break that one loose, take that one off as well. Now, the reason why we changed the engine oil and the differential oil is because, again, they both come with specific oil from the factory that helps clean up any issues or anything like that, or any metal particles or shavings that may be in the differential and our engine itself. I'm trying to grab a little bit here on my finger just to show you guys. Maybe you guys can see it, but there are a little bit of metal particles in there, and that is normal. It's not a crazy amount of metal particles, so that is good. And again, that's what that oil is doing. It's grabbing all of those metal shavings and particles and whatnot, and it's draining them out with the fluid, so that when you put the fresh stuff in, you have very little to no metal particles and or shaving, right? And again, this is part of the process for the running in / break-in service. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna let that drain for just a little bit longer, and then we'll put the plug back in on the bottom, and we'll fill it up. All right, so now that that has completely drained out, grab our new plugs here for the differential. Let's go ahead and throw the bottom one in. And I did fat check myself. These do get torqued down to 45 Newton meters. All right, so now that I have all that tightened up and buttoned up and cleaned up, and now at this point, what we would pretty much do for the rest of the service, at least as far as underneath the vehicle here, we would check everything underneath the vehicle, make sure everything is operating as designed, looks proper, make sure there's nothing broken and or damaged. You guys would be surprised, at about 1,200 miles, we have seen some M's come in with some damage. Now I guess that all depends on your driving style and things of that nature. But you know, we also check tires, make sure that there is no nails or anything like that in your tires. We also check your brake system, the rotors, make sure they are properly bed in at this point in time at the 1,200 mile mark, both front and rear. And once all that checks out and we've double checked everything as far as the work we've done underneath, as far as draining the engine oil and the differential oil, then we lower the vehicle back down. So at this point, I know my car is good just because it's mine. So what's also crazy is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you see all these love bugs? If you don't know where I live, if the love bugs aren't giving it away, then I don't know what to tell you. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna lower the car down now, guys, and finish up the rest of the break-in service. All right, so now that we got the car back down on the ground, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna remove our filter that we already loosened and popped up from earlier. And it's real simple, guys. Just kind of do what I'm doing here, kind of just hold this coolant reservoir to the side and then pull up and out on the filter. Easy peasy. Grab your new O-ring, slide that on, grab your new filter. When you guys put this filter in, don't just set it in. You're gonna hear it go like this. It's gonna pop like that. Make sure it rotates freely. Make sure it doesn't fall out when you turn it upside down. And then you're gonna strategically stick it back in. And it does go at an angle, so you're gonna have to fish for it, but I've done this so many times that I know. Then once you get it in, guys, you're gonna wanna turn it by hand. It's important just to ensure that when you do put your ratchet and your 32mm back on it, you're not going to cut the O-ring that goes around it, because if you do cut that O-ring, when you start the car, it is going to leak oil, so you definitely don't want that. But I typically make this hand tight. As you guys may have just seen there, as I was tightening it, it kind of came to a stop. So just give it a little bit more of a push, and that's about it. I can't give you the torque spec for it off the top of my dome, but it is pretty much hand tight. And then again, at the beginning of the video, I told you guys, don't forget this little clip. Just put it back on like that, and then fish your coolant reservoir back in the little O-ring at the bottom down there so it's secure. Slide that back in. Put your bolts in, try not to drop them. I've dropped them before and it's a pain to find them. Definitely don't want that. Get one started and then throw the other one in. We're going to add our engine oil, and this vehicle, particularly the CS models, take just a little bit more than your normal G8X models. This one takes 7.5 quarts of oil because this does have added coolers and cooling on the CSs, just because they are a more motorsport track focused vehicle. So BMW does add that extra 0.5 quarts of oil for those added coolers to the vehicle. So all right, so that's all done now. We have successfully drained the oil for the engine, as well as drained the oil for the differential, and filled both back up, made sure that everything is tight. Now next is just the computer portion. So at this point, we take our, I guess you can say, special BMW tools here.
As long as a check control message is shown in the control display, voice control will unfortunately.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. Now we're gonna put the car in pad mode, like I was saying, which is just 3 presses of the start button. So once you press the start button 3 times, the car will go into what is called pad mode. And then we will use our systems here to perform a short test on the vehicle. Once that short test has been performed, we then can deactivate the running in message on the dash that is displayed for you guys, that counts down the miles that you have until it is time to perform the service. All right, guys, so I'm going to finish up the rest of this video on the Osmo. Unfortunately, because my car is on and my phone keeps connecting to CarPlay, it's interrupting the connection with the Insta 360. So we're just going to finish it up with the Osmo at this point. But at this point, everything is loaded up about my vehicle. As you can see, all my modules over here are green. Everything does look good. If I look at my fault memory, there are a couple of faults stored, as you guys can see here, but none of them are currently present except for the functional limitation of the mobile device connection, which is normal for that one to be currently present. So everything does look good on that part. So next, what we would do is we would go to service functions, maintenance and pre-delivery check, and then right down here you would see reset condition based services. But then right there, as you can see, it says deactivation of the running in check. So we would select that, display, and then it says in the next step, the running in check and the measurement, and excuse me, and the instrument cluster is deactivated. Do you wish to deactivate the running in check? Then we select yes, and it goes through successfully. So at that point in time, guys, that is everything that is required for the running in service portion. Again, we would fully inspect the vehicle, ensure that everything is operating as designed, does look good. We make sure there's no crazy faults going on that may not be currently present or you may not have noticed. And I am deleting my faults right now. just because I'm OCD about it. But yeah, that pretty much covers up the service that is performed. So yeah guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. Hopefully I helped shed some light on how this service is performed for all of you M customers that bring your vehicles to the dealership. Hopefully I was able to answer some questions that you guys may potentially have. If I wasn't able to, or if I didn't cover something that you guys want to know, just go ahead and comment it down below and I'll make sure to reply as quickly as possible to your questions. Or you can message me on my Instagram, which I'll throw over here somewhere. If you just want to DM me and ask me some other questions in regards to your vehicle, you're more than welcome to. I'm more than happy to help. And I apologize if I've seemed like I don't have a lot of energy. It's currently 1:40 in the morning here where I'm at. I had a very long day at work, and I took the time to make this video for you guys. So again, really appreciate your guys' support. Again, hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. I can't wait to now experience the full 550 horsepower that this car comes with from the factory to the crank. I'm definitely gonna have some fun driving down to Tampa tomorrow, and I might do a video of that as well, because there are going to be some BMW photographers that work for BMW shooting my car and a couple other really nice spec BMWs as well. And we'll probably throw Wang in the video, which is going to be the next video probably after this one, or maybe the video after the next one after that. Who knows? I don't know the order. Sorry guys, I'm just rambling on. But again, thank you guys as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.